You're listening to Three Kitchens podcast, hosted by Aaron Walker and Heather Dyer.
We're on a mission to inspire other home cooks just like us to be brave and try something new. Let's learn to cook better and eat great food. Okay, now you can tell me what you're doing.
Don't talk before the record button has been pressed. Well, welcome. By now you probably know you're listening to Three Kitchens podcast. I'm Heather. This is Aaron.
Hello.
And we're your hosts today. No guest, just us. You lucky listeners. You get to hear more of our voices. I don't know if that's lucky or not, but I'm just going to go with it.
I know I'm excited because I know that means you're cooking something for me. So
it's true.
Lucky co-host is at least what I get to be.
Yep, you are the lucky co-host. Well, let's hope. I mean, we always start out with the caveat that look,
yeah,
the whole point of this podcast really is experimenting and trying, testing out recipes, testing our own skills, learning something new. So there's no guarantee it's going to be something good to eat at the end, but we do try our best.
Disappointment is not a word that has come into our vocabulary that much.
Disappointment with the food?
Yeah. I don't think
you're right.
Been super disappointing. I think we bat a pretty close 10 out of 10. I mean, there's a few funnies.
First of all, when you started the batting analogy, I'm like, I don't know sports analogies. Like, what do you say?
I don't know. I just threw in a sport analogy. Go sports.
Okay. Every so often we hit something that we would do differently or that was not our favorite, but it's always fun.
Yeah.
Like the persimmon.
If you've been here for any amount of time, you know that persimmons can be astringent.
That was so funny. Okay, if you haven't listened to that, go check it out. Speaking of fruits, today I'm going to cook with beans. Did you know beans are actually fruit? That's how smart your hosts of Three Kitchens
Mind
podcast are.
blown.
Okay.
Incredible research, Heather. Incredible.
Incredible. I have a research assistant. Do you know her? Her name's Erin Walker. In real time.
I'm going off of Google AI, so
who knows if it's real?
Yeah, could be fake news, but you heard it here first.
Oh my God, I just remembered the song.
Oh yeah, they do call them a fruit.
If you know the song, you know what we're talking about.
But I do have an apron, and it's got little pictures of different foods all over it, and one is two little beans, and one is laughing, and the other one's going. There's little musical notes next to it because
the musical fruit.
There's a musical fruit. Oh my God.
That is so funny.
This is incredible.
God, the synergies that are happening.
We're just on it today. We hope that you're following this mind track as well.
Yeah. I have a feeling we may have lost some people along the way, but if you're still here, if you're still with us, we're going to talk about beans because recently I went on a little family trip to Mexico, which was lovely. And my niece made a delicious meal for us on my birthday. And we had some delicious tacos. And one of the things she made from scratch were refried beans. And I don't know if I'd ever had homemade refried beans. I definitely have had them in a restaurant, which I assume are probably made from scratch in a restaurant. And I've had them out of a can.
Yeah.
But I've never made them, and I'd never had anyone make them for me that I was aware of.
I'd like to know a better / have you make some for me
and then
go
you can
down that road, and then I'll make them too.
So I asked her to send me the recipe that she likes to use. She did. I don't know what book it was from. She took a picture of the page from the cookbook and sent it to me. And interestingly, there were two recipes that she sent me. One was called Black Bean and Cilantro Dip, which based on the ingredients is not what she made because I had asked her I had asked her at the time when we were eating, like, what was your secret here? So I think this is just another option. It's much simpler.
Okay.
And then there was a recipe called barbecue beans. So I was like, why are you sending me barbecue beans? I wanted refried beans. Like, what the heck? But it does, when I looked at this recipe and then I did a little searching around for authentic Mexican refried bean recipes, this is what
Okay.
it is. So I don't know why in this cookbook, whatever this cookbook was, it was called barbecue beans. It also had a description of how to make the recipe that was something like throw all that shit into a blender and blend until smooth. Like it was that kind of cheeky, funny
Right.
kind of recipe book. So who knows? And when I went down the rabbit hole of Mexican bean recipes, there's all kinds of bean recipes.
Right.
Some of them are blended up like this, that's more like a dip, like a refried bean dip. Others are like a pot of beans where the beans retain their shape and they have different seasonings and flavors in there. There's a number of different ways in Mexican cooking to prepare beans. So
Yes. And I hear that Mexican cooking, from what I understand, is very regional because it's a very diverse in terms of its environment, right? Like some places are very deserty, some are very tropical. Different foods are available in different places. They all have their own.
yeah. So one of these recipes is, I'm probably going to say this wrong. I apologize for this episode. Anytime I try to pronounce a Spanish word that I get wrong, but a frigole de olla,
Okay.
which is basically how you're just cooking beans when they're dry. So
Okay.
if you're starting out with dry beans, like black beans or pintos, or there's other varieties that could be used,
Right, right.
when you cook them down with water and some onion and sometimes lard, and they're just salted, and it's just the basic, like you're simmering them for a couple of hours to cook them because you haven't soaked them or anything, you're just cooking them from dry. And then once they're cooked, then you can use those to make many other dishes, or you can
Right.
just eat them like that as well. So I could do that to prep for my refried beans, which is a little bit of a misnomer because you're only cooking it once. You're not refrying anything. It's kind of like a weird.
Okay, I was wondering about that. So when you said frijoles de olla, I would say because we made cafe de olla, and that was just pot
Yeah.
coffee. So these are now pot beans.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I love
It's
it.
just a pot of beans. And then, so that means when you start to make a refried bean recipe or dip or something like that, you either start with your frijole de olla that you've made or a can of beans.
Perfect.
Either way, you can do it. I haven't yet decided, but I think I'm leaning more toward making a pot of beans because I think the flavor is going to be better from those cooked beans. Although my niece did tell me that she had tried it both ways and she actually preferred it with a can. So I don't know. It's always so hard to decide which direction to take when there's lots of options.
It's kind of nice to know that if I have time and I want to put all of my love into these beans, I can go and do that. Or if I just really want it tonight, I can buy a can of beans and do it. So I think it's great to have options and know that both ways will work.
Yeah, and they're both gonna get your end result, which is delicious. So,
Yay.
so this is my plan. And then once you've got your refried beans, there's lots of different ways, of course, you can enjoy them just on your tacos with tortilla chips, put them into a burrito, you can do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But I saw one called a mollete, which is an open-faced sandwich with the beans and cheese melted on it, and then pico de gallo, which is like a fresh salsa on top. And it just looked so good in the picture I was looking at that's what I'm going to make for us with our beans.
What kind of surface is it on top of?
Bread. The bread they use is called bolillo, which is kind of apparently the Mexican version of like a baguette. It looks like a big
Okay.
sandwich roll. I will look into how easy it is to make. If it's a complicated bread, you know me and bread, it's probably not going to happen. But if it's
That's okay.
something that's a simple enough bread that I could maybe make, I will
right?
try my hand at that. So we'll see how many recipes I end up with in the end. I might have the pot of beans, plus the refried beans, plus the pico de gallo, plus
So
the
I'll see you in 3 weeks,
bolillo.
is what you're telling me.
But
Okay.
sometimes I start these things thinking, oh, it's an easy recipe. Anybody can make whatever. And then I end up doing
Yeah.
all the things. But you could just pick and choose which of it you want to.
Oh, exactly, right? That's the best part of it is if you're going to have one thing to kind of expand and try all the things and then narrow down what your favorite parts are and what's essential and what's not.
I mean, I could even see if you do your pot of beans and you want to just take a slice of bread and mash those beans on top.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that in itself would be delicious. You don't even need to go the extra step of the refried beans, which has a bunch of other things into it for
Yeah,
flavor. So,
totally.
you could just keep it simple. We'll see. We'll see what
Mhm.
I have time to do and what I come up with.
This sounds fantastic. I am so excited for this. You know us, and we know our beans are a product of Canada. Yay!
It's true. We
So,
have an episode with the Alberta Pulse Growers Association you can go back
mhm.
and listen to, which we learned a lot. You'd think I'd have known about the fruit thing. I probably did, and I'd forgotten.
I feel like that information was just locked away. That's all. Expecting a baby or planning for one? Birthing Magazine is here for you. Since 1997, Birthing Magazine has been Alberta's #1 trusted source for current, relevant information on pregnancy, birth, and parenting alternatives. Published 3 times a year by Birth Unlimited, a local non-profit, each issue is sharing inspiring birth stories, evidence-based research, and community events.
From midwifery care and home birth to full duration breastfeeding and attachment parenting and beyond, Birthing Magazine explores the options and alternatives that matter most to you. We believe empowered birth works not only for the child and the family, but also the world. Birthing Magazine, take charge of your birth experience. Well, what began as I want to make refried beans, a relatively straightforward, simple, quick recipe,
Mhm.
becomes an episode with many recipes.
We just thought you were getting lazy, doing the easiest thing, taking the
Hey,
low hanging fruit, and here
low
you
hanging
are.
beans, beans are fruits.
We did discover that beans are fruit, so
That's
no.
right. I took the lowest hanging fruit, but then I made it into many things. Well, in the end, we had an open face sandwich with our refried beans, but there's a few components in there. So
Hmm.
I'm going to go through them with the focus on the beans
Okay.
because that is what we're here for, right? But
Hmm.
I will put all the recipes on the blog, so that's where you go. That's where you'll find it. So as I mentioned before, you can make refried beans using canned beans. If you want, you can start there. Or if you're like me, you can use dry beans and go with making what they call pot beans or frigole de olla at the beginning to then
Yes.
use to make your refried beans. And I decided to do this because even though they simmer for quite a while,
Hmm.
so when you look at the recipe and it says total time 2 hours, you're
Right.
like, oh wow, this seems like a big recipe. It's not. It's like simmering away just about the whole time. So you have some onion, some salt, water, dried beans, and I think what is sort of the little secret ingredient in here is lard, 2 to 3
Oh,
tablespoons of lard to 2 cups of beans. I used bacon fat that I keep in a little mason jar in my freezer.
your essential oils.
Yes, my essential oil. I dabble in essential oil. I had a little tiny jar and I just let it thaw out and scoop that lard right into there. So good. I think it does add a little
Oh, it
flavor
makes
bomb.
like it's that smokiness, it's that saltiness. Oh, it's all around good. Yeah.
Once you've simmered this away on your stove, I think they say after like an hour or so, hour and a half, go over there and taste and see if the beans are soft.
Okay.
You want them soft enough to blend. You're
Okay.
not gonna like totally, well, I mean, it's your choice if you want to totally puree them before you refry them or if you want to leave them kind of chunky. but
Okay.
they need to be cooked enough.
I always do the press down. Like I usually take one out of the pot and then I press it with like the back of the spoon.
Mm.
And if it smushes easily, I know they're either really close or ready to be done. But if they're hard, they
They're
won't do
not cooked
that.
yet. Yeah,
So
and then
you
they're
didn't
not.
soak these dry beans
Nope.
beforehand. Okay,
No
okay.
soaking. That's why they're so easy. Like the prep time is like a couple minutes.
Yeah,
Throw it all in a pot and then let it simmer.
smart.
And then you have pot beans at the end. And they're not only for refried beans, you can just eat them straight up. You can
Mm,
put them in your burritos. You can do whatever you want with these beans. And you could season them how you like to.
mm.
So once you get your basic pot of beans, give it a taste, see if you want to throw some stuff in there. Make it how you want. I thought they were great, even just on their own. And you don't drain them or rinse them.
Okay.
They have a broth, like what the recipe calls a broth, which is kind of this. I used black beans, so it's like a dark juice
Mm.
kind of with them.
It gets nice and thick, doesn't it?
And it's tempting to kind of want to rinse those because when we open a can of beans and it has
True.
that, we rinse them first.
Right.
But in this case, you don't. It's very good.
Mm.
Then we're going to use those beans in this case to make refried beans. So you're going to saute some roughly chopped onion, a couple of garlic cloves, measure that with your heart, however much garlic you like. When it says two in a recipe, I'm like, well, that's at least four, if not
Mm.
more,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
On a side note about garlic, I've recently started buying like the whole sleeves of garlic
Mhm. Yeah.
rather than just a few at a time. And I've started popping them into my blender and blending them up.
Mm.
And then I have a little ice cube tray that's got tiny ice cubes. And so I smush my blended garlic into there and then save it in my freezer. And I'd say one of those cubes is
Mm.
like four garlics. And now
Mm.
anytime you need a garlic, it's just a cube of garlic.
Oh, I love that idea. And so handy. And then it's not sprouting. You open I have like the most adorable little
Oh, like a garlic pot?
clay garlic
Yes.
pot that my sister gave me. Her neighbor makes them, I guess. They're super cute.
Oh.
And it's in my cupboard, like in my
Mm.
pantry, and I open it up and I open my little pot. I'm like, oh, they're sprouted or dried out, or like, sometimes you don't get to them fast enough. The one on the bottom is like a shriveled little.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like that idea. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, because one of those sleeves was on sale when I was at the grocery store, and I was like, "Oh man, that is such a better price." The only thing is that ice cube tray can be
Oh,
used for nothing else now because it like when I took it, I just did the second batch a few days ago and I took it out and I washed it and put it on the counter and my kid came in the house. He's like, "Did you make garlic bread?" And I was like, "No, it's just the garlic ice cube tray. It got
oh yeah.
washed and now the whole kitchen is just this wonderful aroma of garlic."
It's now the garlic tray.
So if you do choose to do this, pick an ice cube tray that will never see anything but garlic again.
Okay. When your onion is starting to brown, you're going to put those beans in there, and it says 1 can, so I use 2 cups. And then you're going to add in 2 chipotles in adobo sauce. So these are the ones you get a little can,
Oh,
and it
yes.
says it says chipotle peppers in adobo. So you
Mm.
look for those ones. They're
Okay.
super smoky, and that adobo. It's not like there's a ton of sauce in the can, but you're basically that just means like scoop that pepper out of there with all whatever comes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't it chipotle pepper? Did we not learn that it's like a smoked other pepper?
jalapeno. I
Smoked
think it's a.
jalapeno?
I
Okay.
think it starts its life as a jalapeno. I think so.
Why do peppers have to change their identity in their lives?
I know. They all do, don't they?
They all
Yeah.
changed their identity throughout their lives and they call themselves different names and they put on different clothes.
It's true. Well, it's fun. Sounds fun. All right. You're also going to put in a half a teaspoon of cumin and half a teaspoon of
Mm,
salt, little
yeah.
cracked black pepper, and half a cup of liquid. So this could be water or stock. I
Okay.
used chicken stock, but I think
Mm.
water would work just as well. And you're going to simmer until it's heated through. Doesn't take too long. And then put it in your blender or your Ninja or what have you and blend it up so that it's combined. You
Okay.
want to make sure the chipotle, that pepper has kind of mixed all the way through.
Right.
But it's up to you how smooth you want it. I wanted it to have
Okay.
a little bit of texture to it. I didn't want it completely smooth, but honestly, no matter which way you do it, it's freaking delicious. So who cares what how smooth or not it is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's it. So you can keep them in the fridge in an airtight container. I think for a few days. I had mine probably the last little bit of it I ate like 3 days later, maybe. I don't know how long they would really last because they're so good you will eat them up.
Well, this is the problem
That's
is
not a problem.
well, I mean, not a problem, right? But it's not going to last in your fridge. No.
Oh, they're so delicious. And I love that you can kind of make them your own.
It's kind of nice to be able to put in different spices that you like and kind of shift around the flavors. My husband, after he saw that food had arrived from Heather, went through the fridge and he opened up, you had put it in a little to-go container and he looked at it and he was like, oh, and he put it back in the fridge. And he didn't say anything to me. And then later that night, I was like, oh, do you want to finish off this bean dip with me? And he's like, oh, is that what it was? Because I looked in there and I was like, oh, this is scary looking.
It doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, right? I heated it up on the stove. I put some cheese into it.
Mm.
And then I was eating it with my chips. And I forced him to have one chip. And he's like, oh, that is actually pretty good. And the next night, he was like, you want to finish off that bean dip? I was like, finish it off. That's what I did last night, man. And he's
It's
like,
gone.
you ate all of it? He was so sad. All he got was one chip. Tough
Well,
luck.
lucky for him, it's very easy to make.
It's going to go in my blender because I have some leftover beans. They're in my fridge, just waiting for this recipe.
You can
Just
also
waiting.
freeze those pot beans, or like you said, if you have part of a can left,
Yeah, yeah.
pop them in a little container in the freezer and pull them out later to use. They'll hold up, especially because in the end you're going to blend it anyhow. So
Yeah.
it doesn't need to stay nice firm little beans.
No, true enough.
So as I told you before, we made a sandwich, which is called a mollete, which is a Mexican bean and cheese open-faced sandwich. And the type of bread that is used for this sandwich is a common bread roll in Mexico called a bolillo. And I didn't have any idea where to go find a bolillo, so I just made them.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Because Heather bakes bread. Damn good bread.
Even though I always say I'm not the bread baker around here.
Yeah.
Just because I failed at sourdough. I baked some nice buns here, these bolillo. So, by the way, I used all the recipes from a blog called MexicanPlease.com. All these recipes are on there.
Okay.
I still want to try the one that Lindsay gave me that was called barbecue beans, where it was a bit more barbecue sauce like. I still think those will be
Right.
delicious, and I do want to give those a try, but I did not make them for this. Both recipes were very similar. One blended first, one blended after.
There are many ways to refry a bean. That's going to be the new saying.
Apparently.
Coined
Yeah.
right here.
Okay, so the bolillo recipe on this blog tells me that apparently they can be a bit time consuming. And so this blogger on MexicanPlease.com took a hamburger bun recipe from Taste of Home and
Okay.
adapted it to make what they felt was the traditional bolillo bun,
Okay.
which I
Fun.
love. So I like this because it's kind of MacGyvering one recipe and making it what you want it to be. Your familiar bolillo that you love,
Yeah.
but you feel is too much work. Oh, this hamburger bun looks similar. I'm going to just make it work. So I love that. Now this one is called a quick bolillo because you don't have to wait very long for the dough to rise because you triple the yeast.
Oh, interesting.
Now you're talking to the person who doesn't. I know you said I bake bread, but I'm not much of a, I don't know a lot about baking bread. So I was like, okay, well,
I bake bread, but I don't know a lot about it either. That's very interesting.
so apparently it makes it faster, but it's also nice and fluffy. And I thought you really could taste that kind of yeastiness in this bread.
Yeah, like it had an amazing flavor to it. And like I toasted mine,
Hmm.
as you'll probably explain in the making of this, and the smell from the bread was very, very
It is a
bready.
yeasty bread.
Mhm.
Yeah, which I thought was really great. And that's because there's 3 times yeast.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So you're just going to mix up your dough and then split it into, I think there were 8 buns or six buns or something.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to make a ball, flatten it into a little oval shaped disc, and then sort of anyone who's watching is going to watch me mime it.
Mm.
You kind of pull it towards yourself and fold it over and do it again. So you kind of almost have it rolled into a tube.
Okay,
So
okay,
like pull, fold, and then shape the ends so that you
okay.
overall have kind of a boat shape. They're a little bit narrower on the ends of this
Hmm.
oval kind of oblong boat. I can't find it, but I believe they baked for about 8 to 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. What does the word translate to?
Yeah, what did you find?
It means roll.
Roll. Oh, well, it's just a roll.
That makes sense.
So then we're gonna use these buns to make our mollete. Yeah, 2 L's.
Okay.
Mollete. Don't go by my pronunciation. Okay, super simple. We're going to slice our buns in half, open them up, put them into the oven for just a couple minutes to kind of toast them a little bit. You're going to put your refried beans. You're going to sprinkle it with some shredded cheese, whatever kind you like. I had Monterey Jack.
Okay.
Put them back in the oven just until the cheese melts. Pull them out. And then you're going to top it with pico de gallo, which is like a fresh salsa. You can kind of make it how you like. I did tomatoes, jalapeños, chopped onion, lime juice, and salt.
Oh,
And
okay.
then for mine, cilantro. For Aaron, no cilantro, because I like you and I won't feed you that.
Thank you. Heather loves me.
And you put it on top, and it is the most delicious, fresh, like that pico de gallo makes it.
Yeah, it totally does. That lime juice is the acid in there is so good with this bean dip. So good.
It was so yummy. I ate it for lunch 2 days in a row.
So did I. I had it for lunch 2 days in a row, and I had leftover bean dip, and I had the pot beans.
Oh, I know. So good.
So good. So if I wasn't to use a black bean, could I use any other type of bean to make this?
No, I believe you can use any kind of bean
Oh,
you
okay.
like. The pot bean recipe just says roughly 2 cups dry beans. So when I bought them, the dry black beans, they're small black beans that have kind of a white dot on them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You can picture them. The bag was called turtle beans.
Hmm.
I don't know why. They're a product of Canada. I don't know if maybe we call them something different here. I don't know if they're
Well,
called just black beans elsewhere. I have
if
no
we're going to
idea.
complain about the names of peppers, then we should bring beans into this as well.
If I look at this, it's got Peruvian beans, Peruano, Canary, Mayo Cabo, cranberry beans. I think there's all different kinds, and probably where we go, like you said, different names. I mean, you're just cooking a pot of beans,
I'm pretty
right?
sure I've never heard of any of the ones that you just started listing off there. So,
No,
yeah,
me either.
cool.
And when I went to the store, I'm like, I just want black beans. I'm like looking at all the beans, and I'm like, these ones are black. Is that right? And I literally Googled, are turtle beans the same as just regular black? Because when you find them in a can, it's just called black beans.
Yeah, exactly.
Way to confuse us all. Like we're
Bean
supposed
washing us.
to be
All
bean
right.
experts now? Yeah. So any kind of bean.
Oh, great. Because I often I overbuy my beans because I see the canned beans and it's like, what, $3, $4 for the can. And then I see the bag of beans and I'm like, dude, that's $5.
Yeah.
One can or a kilogram. I always end up with way too many beans. And then I store them in jars and keep them in my pantry. It takes a while for me to go through a
Oh, for
kilogram
sure.
of 3 different types of beans.
Yeah. And I use black beans from a can to make brownies. Black bean brownies. You can't,
Yes, you
you
do.
couldn't use pot beans because they're savory. So I don't know if you could just cook dry beans like that with no
Well,
savory element to
that's a
it.
good
Just
question.
water and beans.
I did make those bean pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe those were very simply cooked in just water because it was a dried bean that was soaked and cooked and then mashed and blended into a paste that then went into those pancakes.
Okay. But soaked first?
Possibly.
Oh.
Again, that's kind of one of those things that everybody in the bean world
Yeah.
talks about. Should you soak your beans? Should you not pre-soak your beans?
Yeah, I don't know.
There are many
Anyway.
very long debates about this.
We don't need to get into it.
We don't really care either way as long as it tastes good. If you can cook it and eat it, you've passed our litmus test.
Go enjoy your beans.
This is so good. I would like to have this around all the time.
It's just like a really nice go-to appetizer, snack, side
good.
to like your tacos or
Right.
I don't know, like it could just be served with so many things. Oh, so good. Go sit on your back deck with some like margaritas and refried beans and tortillas.
See you at 4 o'clock.
Okay. And now for the fine print. For links to recipes and many other random things we talked about in this episode, check out the show notes or our website, www.threekitchenspodcast.com. Join us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and TikTok to see what we're cooking up next. And if you love the show, tell a friend. Word of mouth is the #1 way people learn about new podcasts. Thanks for listening. Well, if we thought about the song, we would have known in a second.